Good evening. I'm Tony St. James. Welcome to this Future Farm special. Tonight we're discussing how to maximize the opportunity in every bag of seed, as well as the best way to bring products to market with our friends from Rob Seco. We'll explore the innovations used on Future Farm this year, from pre-planting through harvest to support and protect seed investment. They'll also share a new go-to market strategy, offering growers everything they need to be successful. All right, joining us are 4 expert guests to share insights from pre-planting to harvest. Let's first welcome in Rob Robinson. Rob, you're the CEO. Tell us a little about yourself.
I am. Grew up in a little town of Waterloo, Nebraska. I live in Omaha now, and have Rob Seco, which is a family-owned, independent company focused on seed and seed-driven crop inputs. And I have 2 sons in the business, my son Jim, that you'll introduce a little bit later, and then son Scott, who's in information technologies.
All right, let's bring in Jim Robinson, Chief Technology Officer. Give us a little of your background.
Absolutely. So, as you might guess, I grew up in and around the seed business, but I did have a little foray into genetics and molecular biology. So I did my PhD at University of California, San Diego. And other than that, I've spent my career in product development and product launches and product marketing. So lots of seed and seed technology experience there. Okay.
Todd Clausen is agronomy manager. Todd, a little background about you.
Oh, Tony, thanks you and RFD TV for having us here today. You know, if I would outline my experiences, my career, you'd think one of 2 things. One, I can't keep a job, or number 2, I'm really old. I'm just an old farm boy from Nebraska. And I spent 36 years in agronomy, seed product, and going to put in my 28th corn crop this year.
Wow.
My role here is agronomy, part of product, part of a little bit of marketing, and we just do a lot of things to prove our value and be a better partner.
Well, we're glad you're here. And the AgVisors Director, Jeff Dilbeck. Jeff, tell us about you.
Well, thank you, Tony. I grew up in central Illinois, little town, Cerro Gordo, Illinois, of about 1,800 people. I went to school at Missouri State and got my master's from University of Missouri. And then I spent the first 2 decades of my career working for large multinational seed and crop protection companies. But about 9 years ago, Rob called me, and I'd known Rob from years ago at Golden Harvest, and we came over 9 years ago as a sales manager. And most recently, I've accepted the AgVisors Director position, which we'll talk about more today, on how we're going to change the way we go to market and really professionalize our go-to-market business.
All right, let's just jump into this. And Rob, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Future Farm. What is Future Farm?
You know, we believe that there's an opportunity in every bag of seed. The experts will tell you there's 750 bushels of potential, corn yield potential per acre. And our objective is to get to as close to that as possible. So on Future Farm, we actually have 6 locations across the Midwest. We're testing new innovations in seeds and traits, in seed-driven crop inputs, with the idea of both advancing new products into our lineup that show value, and then testing the products we already have, how they work, refining our recommendations. In addition to that, we don't just test these in isolation, though. We're also testing the seed-driven crop inputs and seeds and traits together to understand how that combination can maximize both yield, value, efficiency, and certainly ROI for our customers. We also use the Future Farm locations for some other purposes, primarily for education. We bring in our customers, our dealers, and our distributors, and put on events that are educational, informative, provide information how to use the products, how they perform, and in what combinations. Something new that we're doing this year that I think will be real interesting, you'll hear more about it from Jeff later, is AgVisors. And AgVisors is a new micro-retail approach to the market that provides another level of support for our customers. And it's part of our approach to inform and deliver a positive impact to our growers' bottom line.
All right, let's just jump into this, and let's start with the system approach to maximizing the grower's seed investment. How does that support the farmer? I'm going to let y'all take this.
Absolutely. So as Rob mentioned, there's a lot of genetic potential in every bag. The 750 bushels an acre is something that we really have to unlock through different innovations in farming. And so that's what Future Farm is about. So we're looking for innovations both in seed technology, nutritionals, and in biologicals in order to help unlock that genetic potential in every bag. And so within that, what we're doing is we need to figure out how to get our seed off to the best start possible, keep it as healthy as possible, and ultimately result in more yield out of every single acre that we can get. And so we do that through a couple of different things in this impact approach that we really have. And so we look at this in kind of different times of the season and things we can do. There's really 5 areas to focus on. First, we've got to prepare the seed bed for the seed as it goes in. And so we use a product called Residue Release, which is a consortium of bacteria that help break down residue to best prepare that seed bed to make it more plantable as we plant into it. It's a really good residue digester that really activates that bacteria to break it down. Then we are looking at the best genetic potential possible. So we look for the best diversity in both seed, germplasm, and traits to go on the farm as possible. So, we're here with Rob Seco. We have access to all the major trait and genetic platforms to best match those products to the farm. Then what we do is we pair those seed products with a planter box solution called Tune-Up Plus. And Tune-Up Plus is really meant to help get the most uniform crop established as possible. And so getting every plant looking like just every other plant that comes out of the ground so that we reduce the competition between plants, get the most uniform ear possible at the end of the year, and thus the most yield potential is really what we're looking at there. And then we can move further into the season, and Todd will talk about that.
So as Jim's explaining a little bit there, the front end of the season, the first 20 to 25 days is extremely critical and important for that crop to get off to a good start. A good start will help you get to a good finish. And so along with the planter box treatment that we stimulate, support, and protect that crop, particularly in its first 20 days, but really from cradle to grave in that crop's life, we're also looking at in-furrow solutions. And the in-furrow solutions that we're using are a concentrated dry mix that we combine with water in solution. And that mix simply gives the plant an early stimulation from phosphorus to help transfer and transport energy in that early season. Then we also want to protect our major nutrient investment, which is nitrogen. And so we use a nitrogen stabilizer to help keep the nitrogen investment that we put in the field where we need it, when we need it, and in the form of nitrogen that we need it. And then finally, as we get into the turn and burn portion of the growing season where crops really take off, we need to help lower the effects of stress during the balance of the season so we protect those intimate reproductive stages of the crop's life.
So I'm curious here because when we're in the fall, sometimes, we're looking at our management. I just wonder, how does residue management in the fall actually impact the planting in the spring?
I'd start out with thinking this, what are you going to do with all that material that the plant left behind, right? And so today's corn crop, year over year, our corn gains are pretty dramatic and have been for years now. And you have to think about, one, why a focus on residue? Because while we're increasing more grain, we're increasing more residue at the same time. Our breeding programs are, one, producing more grain, but to carry that much grain, you have to have a better stock, you have to have more leaf area, you have to be more photosynthetically active. Okay? And so that tends to be very important because when we think about that residue, every bushel of corn on that farm will leave 44 pounds of residue behind. 200 bushel corn is almost 9,000 pounds of residue. What are you going to do with it all? So we need to start the breakdown process of that residue. And so what we want to do is we're applying a consortium of bacteria to that residue in and of itself in the fall. What happens is those bacteria, they penetrate the rind, they penetrate into the stalk, into the vascular bundles, and it's a really, really big time food source. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to start the decay process. Okay? And as we start to decompose what we'll call, so figure this or look at this as a corn stalk, and it's a complex carbon structure. Millions of cells have coalesced together, and you have this really strong stalk, because you need a strong stalk to hold your plant up. What these bacteria do is they start that decay process, and they take all those cells, because they feed on the cellulose, that is the strength of the cell, take that complex carbon structure and they fragment it into millions of small simple sugars. Those millions of small simple sugars are now consumable by the bacteria and fungi and the microbes that are the life of the soil. And if you feed that life of the soil, they in turn will then be energized, they will repopulate, they will generate a huge population that will then start the mineralization process from organic matter into inorganic compounds that the plant can now use. So as we think about some of the values of a residue digester and managing your residue, number one, it's about seed bed preparation. As we move to next spring, what are you going to do with all that material? Okay, so it has implications on how does the planter perform. You can pound and you can push residue down into the true V where the seed goes and disrupt germination at times. You can also lower the wear and tear on your equipment, particularly your tires. We can sometimes eliminate an entire tillage pass. So, and then one of the major effects that this product has, known as residue release, it helps release nutrients earlier in the season, of the subsequent season. So instead of having mineralization take place and you release nutrients somewhere between 1st of July and the 1st of August, you can push that up into a more reproductive time period of the crop's life and take more advantage of those nutrients.
Great way to explain that. Hey, Jeff, let's turn it to you. Water-soluble fertilizer. How does it reduce our fertilizer cost?
That's a great question, and this is a fun product. Convert was a product we launched last year, and we completely underestimated the demand for Convert. And so I'll talk about two products here today. One is Convert and one is Convert Kickstart. But there's a lot of benefits to the grower. So the most important thing that we think about, just as Todd spoke, when we try to establish that crop, is how do we get it out of the ground fast, even emergence in those first few days. Convert is a water-soluble starter fertilizer that can replace your typical 1034-0 program or any other starter fertilizer program. What it is, it's a 1258-0 starter that is a finely milled MAP product. And what's unique about that is you mix it with water, it goes into solution, you agitate it a little bit, and it does not come out of solution. It stays in solution for years. We've had Convert in solution for years. It's not corrosive, it's not sticky. There's none of the issues that you deal with traditional starter fertilizers. And one key thing about Convert is it contains two enzymes that are part of the product. One is phosphatase and the other is manganase. And what phosphatase does is it allows the plant to uptake additional phosphorus that's available in the soil. And that's going to increase your phosphorus load, increase your phosphorus uptake in the plant. And the manganase helps break down the waxy cuticles on the root tips, so the plant is able to increase its uptake of water and nutrients as well. Yeah. So that enzyme technology is really important part about Convert. One of the things our customers talked to a lot of us about, because we talked to a lot of customers once they used it, what was their experience, et cetera. One thing they loved was the convenience. So I'll give you an example. We sell Convert in 50-pound bags in a 2,000-pound super sack. That super sack can fit in the corner of a shed, take up maybe the space of 2 seed boxes, and that treats 800 acres at 5 gallons of water per acre, where you would need a 4,000-gallon tank to hold 800 acres of 1034-0. So the convenience factor of it is you're not hauling around water, and it's highly economical. So you got a high level of convenience, and it's priced at $16 to $17 an acre, where a lot of starter programs today run easily between $25 and $50 an acre, and even up from there from customers that we talk to. So when you combine all those things together, our customers loved it, and the demand went through the roof. So we had an excellent year with Convert. If somebody needs additional potassium and additional sulfur in their starter, we have a product called Convert Kickstart. has all the same benefits that I just talked about in Convert, but it includes potassium and sulfur in the formulation as well. So we have two different options for customers depending on their geography, soil type, and what their needs are. But it's been a fun product to launch, and we see extremely high growth this year with Convert.
We've had some great results with it too, haven't we, Jeff?
We have. We've had some really good results. If you look at over 10 states where we proved the concept, which is what we like to do with all these products that we introduce, we want to prove that concept. As Todd always says, it's not good because we say it is. It's good because we can prove it. And over 10 states, multiple trials and replications, we had a 4-bushel advantage with Convert versus a standard starter program. So not only are we getting the convenience, the economics, but you're also getting a yield bump. And we believe it's because of that additional nutrient uptake through the enzyme technology that's in Convert.
Now, before I forget, Jim, I want to come back to you for a moment because earlier you were talking about uniform emergence. And I'm just curious, early uniform emergence, is it the key in the health of the plant?
Yeah, so I mean, what I like to think about it as, let's think about everything with the end in mind. So at the end of the year, a farmer's out in the field looking at all the different ears up and down the row. And a farmer may see ears of all sorts of different sizes. So really large ears, really small ears, and everything in between. And what that means is you're not getting the maximum yield potential out of each and every plant. Those small ears are actually the result of late emerging plants early on in the growing season. And so what we need to do is think about a very uniform emerging field is a field with every single plant competing with its neighbors in an equal manner where when they all come up at the same time, they're all getting the same amount of light. They're not competing for light and nutrients with each other, and therefore they can put on that biggest ear possible. And so in order to do that, you have to think about getting all those plants the best start possible, because if you delay a plant's emergence by 3, 4, or 5 days from the emergence of the very first plant in the row, you're going to lose anywhere from 20 all the way up to 90% of the yield of a given year. I mean, you can see in this graphic here, the ears on the left of the image are really nice sized ears, but those ears on the right would be the 4th and 5th day emerged plants. And ultimately, those aren't going to yield hardly anything. So to improve that, what farmers can do is they can use a product that we call Tune-Up Plus, which is a pail that you add to the planter box, either just like you would add any sort of a talc graphite mixture. So it goes on the seed right at planting time. And within that pail, we have a set of biological organisms that do all sorts of different functions, everywhere from biofertility, so releasing more phosphorus in the soil, to fixing nitrogen, to, well, quite a few things, including stimulating the plant itself, because some of the microbes or some of the biologicals in that pail are there to help stimulate the plant for better root growth, emergence, and things of that nature, combined with some micronutrients we have, such as zinc, that really help get the plant going. And so what that does is it results in about a 7 to 7.5 bushel per acre advantage over not using Tune-Up Plus in the field, because you get that better, more uniform emergence.
Answered the question perfect, so thanks for that. Okay, we're going to head to break, but when we come back, we'll talk more about AgVisor's new go-to market strategy that stays focused on the farmer. Stay with us. We'll be right back.